Greetings, comrades, and welcome to the Rad Gaming Podcast. I'm HabitKeto.
And I'm Jemshi. And in this episode of the podcast, we interview KittyHouseKnife. Kitty is a Twitch streamer who also is the co-founder of HabitKeto. In this episode, we dive into her ways of finding how to make streaming enjoyable, how to get chat more engaged and to come back stream after stream, and how to combat trolls on chat and in social media.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Cento Fiore. Cento Fiore is a lifestyle fashion brand that sees beauty in cultural heritage and always strives to offer timeless and elegant style. Visit cento-fiore.com to join the family. That's CENTO-FIORI.com. Now, on to the podcast.
Good job. That
was good. Thank you for coming on the podcast. We truly appreciate having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So, give us a story, some background about yourself before you started streaming.
Before I started streaming, well, I'm 31, so I've had a long life so far, I'd say. I went to school for biochemistry, so I have a background in science. I always knew that I wanted to do something science related, and I started out in the microbiology field after I graduated, and I worked in a microbiology lab doing product testing, product safety testing, making sure like what you're eating doesn't have like salmonella, listeria, pesticides, things like that. But I was always a gamer my entire life. I grew up, the first game I ever played was Pac-Man on the Atari at my grandmother's house. And I have a brother that's about a year and a half older than I am, so we always played together. And since he was the older brother, I always had to be player two. But we kind of just grew up gaming. So when I would get off work at nights, I would just sit there and just binge any sort of game that I was into at the time, be it Call of Duty, going old school with Banjo-Kazooie, which is my favorite game, or
have you seen the new releases on
kind of anything like that.
New announcements.
On
they
Banjo?
have a new Banjo character for Smash Brothers. Banjo-Kazooie is a new character, but they're also announcing a new Banjo-Kazooie game, or hinting at it a lot.
Gosh, I didn't hear about that. I heard something about Banjo, but I thought it was just going to end at the Super Smash.
There's a very heavy foreshadowing for their next release, which I'm excited for because I used to play that same game.
God, I'm so excited. And when Ukulele came out, it had a very Banjo vibe. So I was really excited that they were still developing games that had that same vibe.
I enjoy the fact that they keep on bringing back games. Like I used to play Spyro and Crash Bandicoot as well. Like those type of old games. They brought them all back and remastered them. They're so much fun.
I think retro, just even in like society nowadays, is coming back, with a vengeance. And I think tying that into video games, which has really shaped our culture now, is really smart.
Do you still dabble in the retro games when you stream, or do you play only newer games?
So I don't stream as much now. And when I do stream, it's when I'm playing a game that like a game developer has given me to help them launch, or if a new game comes out that I'm really into, or if I just start binging a game for a long time, I'm like, I might as well go live with this and just, show everybody. Yeah. When I first started streaming, I played a lot of Grand Theft Auto, and this is back in 2014 is when I started streaming. And I liked playing Grand Theft Auto on stream because you could have a lobby of 50 people. So it was a really good opportunity to have my chat involved at like a high capacity.
Did you actually
just have people? Yeah.
I was gonna say, did you actually do the missions, or did you run around and just kill other players? Because I'm not gonna lie, I ran around and just ran over people and tried to kill everybody. So
there weren't a whole lot of missions that I wanted to do with random people, so we would do races. Races were a lot of fun, and I had to start putting it on no contact because, being the streamer, everybody would just try to take me out the entire time we were racing. So I would just normally keep it in an open lobby, and everybody would just like fuck around and like hit each other and shoot everybody in sight, crash helicopters everywhere.
That was my favorite part, but I got so stressed out playing racing games. Did you ever play like Need for Speed? I used to play Need for Speed Underground back in the good old days, and that game would stress me out
I don't think there is a feeling similar to even like with Mario Kart where you're in like second place and you're so close and then you just see an obstacle in your way that you're going to hit and you hit it. That is like the most devastating feeling. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Or you're in first place when you're playing Mario Kart and that you see that icon for like, you're like on the home stretch and you see that icon for that, like, what was it? The blue, yes. And it comes out of nowhere, just hits you like modes before you cross the line and then a couple people pass you and you're like in fifth place. Oh,
I think that is where I got a lot of my competitive nature from, is growing up playing a lot of Mario Kart with my brother. And we would do things even playing GoldenEye 007. And we would just like 1v1 each other in that game. And it just made me such a competitive, I just all around competitive player.
So you said you played Call of Duty. What Call of Duty did you play?
Oh, Lord. So when I've played everything basically from Modern Warfare 2 forward, and I really started liking zombies. And I also really like Search and Destroy. For some reason, Search and Destroy, the adrenaline that you get from that is just unmatched. And the level of, success that you feel when you're the last person alive, like with the bomb or even on the other team, and you end up winning that round, it's just, oh, God, it's addicting.
Yeah, it's so... it seems like you play high stress kind of games. Like,
yes, I do.
And that takes years off my life because I used to play Search and Destroy as well on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I had like Deep Impact and oh my God, I had a nervous breakdown. It was like 4 against 1 and I was the one person. I actually ended up winning that round. I don't know how. But then, like, I quit playing. I was like, I'm done. This is my high note. I'm quitting forever. Like, I'm a naturally defensive player. So even when we have to plant the bomb, or if I'm like the last alive and I'm on the other side, I'm a very like sit in a strategic location and wait for people. A term came out for that, camping, Yeah.
But I really enjoyed sneaking up on people to kill them. And so this is what I would do. I would just like go to the place I knew they were going to come into where they were thinking they were going to be sneaky. And I would just always get them at the last second when they didn't expect me.
Did you set up in the same spot and then switch positions next round? So they're like, oh, she's definitely hiding right there. And then you
can always get a kill off that way because they're going to come back looking for you and you're not going to be there. So that's definitely one of my strategies.
I was never the sneaky person, how to counter that person.
I was never the run and gun kind of person. I think because I'm not as good at getting the initial shot off as other people are. So I was never running around shooting people, getting the first kill and like getting 30 more kills in a row. But I always played hardcore too. So I would just die easily. And I think that's another reason why I just always wanted to just like sit back and wait for people, because dying obviously
was that
the
same
awful.
Kind of play style when you played with your brother? I assume that when you're playing 1v1 in GoldenEye, there's a lot of strategies that come about.
Oh my God, yeah. We even did that cardboard trick where we couldn't see each other's screen because it was a split screen, right?
Yeah.
And and then sometimes I would sneak and be oddball and he wouldn't know I was oddball. And there was like always a rule that you could not be oddball because you were short, right? So if you're oddball and you run up to somebody, you always get the kill on them.
Yep, because you can't aim down. Really. It's really tough to aim down.
Wherever it is, like you're locked on like a certain height or something or angle, and you have to like change it or something.
Did you get the golden gun quite a bit and use it against your brother, or did he use it against you more or less?
I want to say as petty as I was, he was equally, if not more petty. So he definitely did. He definitely pulled those tricks out on me.
You said you kind of stopped streaming. What happened? Well, why don't you stream as much anymore?
So I was getting to the point where I was streaming almost full time. And while it was great, I still had this underlying passion to continue my science career. So I wanted to go back into the science field. I knew that I wanted to go from the lab side to the business side eventually. And what I really enjoyed about the type of work that I was doing in the industry was when it comes down to it, you're saving lives. You know, every time that you find salmonella on a food or listeria or pesticides that are at a dangerous amount, you're saving lives by not having that product go to market. So it was really fulfilling for me. And I knew that I wanted to use my skills and my passions in the industry to just help the industry grow into a more high quality, more transparent type of industry. So I went back into it, and I went into a sales position, and then I ended up in a general management of a lab position, running a laboratory. And I kind of grew in there. And now I've sort of ventured off into my own independent consulting for business development and marketing, and just helping these types of laboratories that are doing the same thing, just make their company more, I guess, trustworthy and transparent. And that's what I'll always say with this industry is just transparency is everything. So obviously working full time with that and spending a lot of energy on that, it gets really hard to then transition over to doing streaming at nights, and on the weekends. So that's why streaming kind of fell off for me.
That makes sense. How long have you been doing that for?
Since 2009, I have been in this industry, and I've been at a couple different places then. And the year that I was streaming, really full time was the year that I wasn't doing it at all, and I just started missing it. So
what got you from, like, obviously you're very passionate about this, field of science. What got you from that into Twitch? Because obviously, if you're very passionate, what kind of convinced you to try out Twitch?
So when I first heard about Twitch, it was 2014, and I was at the point where I was gaming every night for hours, and I saw that it was a way to bring your gaming social and start building a community of people that also enjoyed the same games that you did. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I was like, hey, I think I have a lot to share with people with my gaming. And I want to bring people in with what makes me happy and passionate, because I'm a very social human being. So I decided to just, stream what I was doing, and it kind of took off from there.
You've been streaming for quite some time. Did you ever notice that since you didn't have a dedicated schedule, that it really kind of mess with your not followers, but I guess viewership?
Definitely. I think that, and that's even one of the top things that they say when, how do you make a stream successful, is having a consistent schedule. So when I first started streaming, I was very consistent. I was doing like a 9 to midnight stream.
At 9 p.m.
And then, so I got a following. Yeah, 9 p.m. I was not streaming for 15 hours. And then I started waking up early in the morning and going to the gym. So then I started streaming in the morning, and then I got a UK following from that, because by the time, it was like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., everybody in the UK is watching streams. But then once I went back to work, it got very random. So my viewership obviously went down because of that. And now it's so sporadic that I have an average number of viewers, I'd say, when I log on now.
So you said that you get immersed in games, you get really excited about certain games. What's the last game that you were so immersed in that you kind of got lost in all the luster, I guess, of the game?
Oh, for me, it's less of the game itself and more of the feeling that I get within the game. And it's games that really give me that, almost like the anger that you get from losing, and then the high that you get from winning. And I'd say the last game that really did this for me, and still does, is Overwatch.
I'm actually shocked that you're like the only person that I've ever heard that loves the anger that comes with losing, but yet the high of winning. Like, I understand that perfectly fine. But sometimes I get so frustrated. It's unbelievable. And I can rage, but I try not to. Did you ever catch yourself getting really frustrated on stream and basically rage quitting?
Yeah, and people have seen this live, and it is almost a joke now, because I did a lot of zombie streaming because I loved Call of Duty Zombies. And bullshit things would happen. Like, I would just get caught on a part of the map that I shouldn't have gotten caught on, or there was like a random zombie behind me and I'd be at almost like round 50 and something would happen, and I would just throw my fucking headset and I would just like take my controller and just whip it across the room and just storm out of the room and come back to chat like a minute later. Like, I'm sorry I did that.
Well, with that, have you ever broken anything?
Yeah. Oh my God. I think I have been through like 4 different headsets now.
You have a graveyard of these headsets?
I really do. I do. And they're mostly HyperX and Turtle Beaches. And I've always slammed them. I probably have 3 controllers that I think I could probably fix, but I just end up buying a new controller anyway. So I just have a giant box of lost, broken
in your Twitch
technology.
You got up to Twitch partner. So what things besides your rage quits do you think attributed to that success and got you to that level of, success, I guess?
So I got partnered 3 weeks after I started streaming.
Oh,
it was very quick. And I was growing at the rate of about 1,000 followers every 2 days. And
wow,
it was it was when Twitch was still an app on Xbox, before Mixer came into the game. And if you could stream directly from Xbox, you could pin your chat to the side of the screen. So I could be very active with chat by having the game right next to chat. So I would talk to chat a lot. And then on the homepage of Twitch, there was the different categories. So you'd have the PlayStation category, you'd have the Xbox category. And then because I think it was a mixture of that and then Grand Theft Auto, because I could get a lot of people on board, and Grand Theft Auto was releasing all of these new things like heists and things that people were really getting into. And for some reason, and I don't know how this would always happen, but the servers would get so overloaded that it would just kick people off. People couldn't connect, but I was always able to connect. So a lot of people weren't actually able to stream them. So I would say that it was just a really lucky combination. And I know people hate hearing that it was luck at the time, but I think for all of the reasons combined, mixed with a little luck, that's why it happened for me so quickly. You also have
to think that you were prepared to take advantage of that luck. Like a lot of people can have that opportunity. Like they could be the one that could connect, but they were like, well, were they streaming when they could? Like that's the thing where you were the one that was online and taking advantage of that, luck. Like it becomes also hard work that plays into it. It's not. A lot of people think like, oh, you were just lucky, and then it's like, no, well, I chose to turn my stream on,
Yeah, timing is definitely important. Timing is what I would then consider luck for that matter. But what I would do too to make my stream better and more engaging for any of the followers, so that I could retain them and chat more, is I would spend my time off stream looking at other streams and looking at my own streams to see what I did that I didn't like, so I wouldn't do it again. And then things that I thought were strong and where I saw chat, it was really getting active. So I would kind of use what I was seeing other streamers doing that I thought was successful, and then what I was doing that I thought was successful, and just kind of molding that into my own stream.
What was one of those things that you saw from other streamers and yourself that really got your chat engaged? If you remember things.
I watched Kitty Plays a lot, and she's sort of a... the word to describe her, she's very charismatic, and you want to watch, like the more you watch her, the more you just want to be engaged with what she's doing. And she would do a lot of things that were very engaging for her viewers and her subs, like writing their names on, a cute little shape of the month that she would then stick behind her. So it would encourage people to want to subscribe to her, things like that. And then in my own stream, it's going to sound ridiculous, but every single hour, because you're supposed to do 5 minutes of exercise for every hour that you're sitting down just to maintain your health, I would do what I called wobble on the hour every hour, where I would just get up and do the wobble dance to the wobble. And of course, people you have the guys that, oh my God, there's a girl, shaking herself in front of me, but it was fun and people would get up and do it with me. So it was also engaging for people. And it was funny. It was just like a funny thing for me to do. So that, that's one trick that I had as well. And people would my viewership would go up like 200 viewers every time I would do that, because like the preview on the screen was just some chick's body. You know what I mean?
Was that intentional, or was that just kind of just happened? You were just like, okay, well, I'm trying to exercise, so this is just how it is.
I didn't intentionally want to use my body to attract viewers at all. And that was not the purpose. It was just to have fun and make people laugh, because that's, for me, humor is the most important thing. Making people laugh gives me a lot of fulfillment. So that's how it initially started. And then, I would get up and take a break anyways. And I would listen to music on stream, and then I would start dancing. So it kind of just naturally evolved into what we called wobble on the hour every hour.
You also try to implement, just laughter and kind of fun. Are you normally feel like you're a funny person, or is that just something that you feel like you put on just because you knew that you had to be a funny person on Twitch?
No, I'm definitely a person that doesn't take much seriously. I think people in general go through life, a little bit too seriously. And I've always just been, I don't know, I just find dramatic situations to be hilarious for some reason. Like the situations that people get themselves into or work themselves up into just make me laugh naturally. And it's also my defense mechanism. Like when I get nervous or scared, I tend to just make a lot of jokes, towards people and laugh a lot. So it's sort of
Hopefully
part of my psyche.
Any jokes that were ill-timed or I know how that happens.
Oh, tons. I've made tons. Of course. Yeah. When but that's part of it, right? That's part of humor, and that's part of comedy is you obviously fail, with some jokes. They don't land how they should. People get offended by them.
But that's also
you're
how
like,
you
okay,
improve, right?
Scratch that. Won't do that again. Yeah. And then you keep going.
So do you watch shows like The Office, maybe Parks and Rec, because they have that awkward humor and it's at people's expense? I don't know if you enjoy kind of things like that.
So and this is what I'll say about Parks and Rec and Office. I love those shows. And what I find stronger in comedy, rather than making a joke at somebody's expense, is making the joke like self-deprecating. And that, I think, is more genuine. And it also doesn't tend to offend more people, because the other side of it is if you're making a joke at somebody about them, it can be very offensive to them. And now you've lost a friend. But a lot of my humor, because my Twitter feed is mostly me just being humorous, telling jokes, telling stories that I have gotten into that are ridiculous. And I have formed them to be some situation that I got into about myself that's funny. And it still works and it still lands well. And another person that's a comedian that also does this style of jokes is Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, yeah.
And You'll notice like her style of comedy is very much like that. And I think that's why so many people love Ellen.
I guess it's
Absolutely.
relatable too. You can kind of like, it's not, you're self-deprecating, but they can like see yourself as that, like, oh yeah, like I was in that same situation and I thought those same things, and that's how you can like make fun of them without actually pointing at them, right?
Yeah, and I think there's something strong about being able to make fun of yourself for being stupid. It's not really a weakness that you have at that point. You've now highlighted exactly.
Yeah. You said that you made some jokes on Twitter about yourself, basically kind of putting yourself out there. I know that right now Twitter has been blowing up, and it's always blowing up with negative things, people attacking people on there. And that's, a lot of people say that's where they get their publicity from. And no publicity is bad publicity, basically, is what they're saying. I agree with it, or do you ever use that tactic, or do you use something similar?
Something similar as in, what do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Well, for instance, I guess there's been a few times that bigger streamers have made comments about things, and people would build off that, retweet that, and then say a snide comment, basically like a little shot at that individual to kind of use their success to build on their success, if that makes sense.
Sure. I think the world is so polarized anyways when it comes to if you're not on my side, then you're on the opposite side. And I think that and the witch hunt is obviously a term that's used a lot now on Twitter too. Yeah. I'm very much of the mentality that if I don't know the person personally and I'm not involved in the situation, it is absolutely none of my business what they're doing. And what they're going through is bad enough without having then to deal with millions of internet strangers attacking them. And it's not to say that I agree with what they've done and not that I agree with what they've said if it's something that I personally wouldn't do and goes against my morals. But I have no business making their life any harder than they're already making it.
See, like, I understand, like, doesn't mean I agree, but I understand where some people come from that do attack individuals. I mean, they're trying, it's like a business almost. You have to make the right moves at the right time and kind of capitalize off other people's mistakes. And unfortunately, that happens in life. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that is what happens. But some people build a Twitter following off of that, or even just a following in general. Even on Twitch, some people are extremely toxic and they make a living off that. I mean, I couldn't do that. I try to be kind, but I mean, I can't say I'm always kind, but it's tough. It's very tough.
It's built off of the mentality that we get growing up and in high school when we have insecurities. And in order to not be attacked for our own things that we're insecure about, we have to then be on the offensive and attack other people for what's wrong with them to get the light off of us.
Like they look worse in comparison. So what, I'm insecure about isn't as bad anymore because,
And that's all that comes from, right? Because people can be so brutal online and be like, oh, I can't believe you did this. And they're doing way worse stuff. They're doing things exactly the same, but nobody knows about it yet, right? So if they're attacking somebody for something that they're also doing, it's keeping the light off of them. From the business aspect, when you look at somebody like Keemstar, who's basically utilizing the drama to feed his business, that obviously works so well because we have things like tabloids. People love feeding into that. People love knowing the drama of what's happening. So for some people, of course, it makes sense if they have the personality that allows them to do it and they have the moral compass where they can say, okay, I'm okay fueling this fire and making money off of it. That's just how they run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not to say I agree with it, but it's
right.
That's not how I would.
Like they do kind of fuel the fire because a lot of times they're making drama out of things that are just like not that bad, but because they mention it, more people know about it, so more people get involved.
Yeah. And I mean, I would love to say that we shouldn't be doing that, but it's just what people want, at the end of the day, that people want to come on there and forget about their own problems and just feed into somebody else's drama for an hour or two.
And that's the sad thing about social media. I mean, before social media, you think about it, you didn't know what your neighbor thought. You didn't know what, your distant friend's friend thought. But now you're following everyone and someone says one terrible comment, or one thing they think is like, oh, I'm going to share my idea and people are going to agree with me. And then they just get blasted because it could be a terrible idea. Before, people didn't know what anyone thought. And it's a shame. I mean, social media kind of brought that all to light and they're just like, hey, you have a free platform to go speak your mind. What did they think was going to happen in a sense when they said some of the things they did say? But what are you going to do?
I mean, they use it for sure. And I think that I have built up such a resilience to people that try to troll me and say things towards me because I know that they have never met me in person. They don't know who I am. They don't know the decisions that I make. They are just logging on one time, seeing a photo of me with cleavage or something like that, or just reading a tweet that I've made that they don't agree with, and they're going to attack me for that. I'm not going to let that get to me because that person has no clue who I am. So it makes me laugh when people actually attack me without any sort of basis for who I am as a person. And I'm very confident in my autonomy and my moral compass enough to know that if I'm saying something or if I'm spewing some viewpoint that I have, that any attacks on it are, I guess, vapid. They're shallow. Yeah. If somebody wants to engage in a debate with me intellectually about something that I've said, I'm so welcome for that. I love learning. I love seeing other viewpoints. It can for sure be done in a constructive way where you might end up with a friend at the end of it. So that's just how I approach it.
That's very, very interesting. I know another gentleman, his name is, American Dad. He was saying that he actually encourages people to talk to him if they do come out and say, hey, you're stupid. I hate your point on this. He would say, you know what? It's fine. You can disagree with me. Talk to me in person and we can discuss this, person to person
through DMs.
And he's right, like, I would have
like
yeah.
You made it sound like he was like calling out, like, come over to my house.
Yeah, I'm gonna teach you a lesson. No, he would say, privately message me. Sorry, you're absolutely right. Privately message me, and then we'll talk about this civilized. And I think that's a fantastic way because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just lose their minds when they get one terrible comment. But
I think, and with that approach, it's so smart because I've found that when you challenge somebody on a viewpoint that they have just typed up really quickly, their argument starts to like lose ground, and then they might actually change their mind if they're forced to critically think about where they're actually coming from on this viewpoint.
I just think that a lot of people do bank on those insecurities that you spoke about a little bit, like a little while back. And it's sad because sometimes they don't understand that they're actually really impacting certain individuals. I mean, you're a strong individual. It sounds like you're able to calmly address the situation and say, hey, listen, we can talk about this civilized. And that's a fantastic way to approach it. But some people don't have that mentality. And some people, they touch on buttons that people have.
I think what it comes down to is the ability to empathize with somebody else. And if somebody is just attacking me viciously, what I think is over the top and they shouldn't be doing that, I start looking at it as, okay, this individual probably has some very deeply rooted issues.
Yeah.
And I have found too that you don't also know that person on their end, what they're going through in their life, what's triggering them. And they could be somebody that's just just an immature kid. So obviously they're not going to come at you with logic. They're going to come at you with like rage and hormones and confusion and insecurity.
Yeah.
But then you also have people online that have mental illness that hasn't been addressed yet. So I also I do troll back people, but I don't make personal attacks on people that I feel are so far gone that they actually might have something wrong with them that they need help with.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on trolling with people? I come up with really snarky replies. When somebody says something to me, like I'll just say something back that it like agrees with them in a way, and I'm like, yeah, that's totally what I mean too. Like, just
right, deflective, where it feels like they didn't actually get to you. You're like, oh yeah, like I'm with you, and they're like, wait, you were supposed to be angry, and like,
God, I'm so deflective, or I just laugh at them because their viewpoints to me, like I said, they're just like, they don't know me, so it's funny to me that they're saying that. Like some kid today, even, what did he write? He called me like an e-girl whore or something, and I wrote, Are you talking about your mom, or just like something like that, just back. Obviously like your mom joke is old, right?
Yeah.
And then he ended up being like, it ended up turning into like an okay conversation because he's like, oh, okay, well, that didn't work.
He probably spent like maybe a couple seconds on that message. Like he probably didn't sit there thinking like, I'm gonna write the meanest thing I can think of, like send it. He probably moved on. He probably wasn't.
I think too, a lot of people, when they see the following that I have, they don't expect me to reply, but I try as much as I can to reply to everybody that is in my mentions, even if it's like the bad stuff, and I've made so many friends this way just by actively replying to people.
That's where you got your,
35.
What was it?
They're almost
30,000.
Right? There are a lot.
Like that. Yeah, that's insane.
There's a lot of people.
I can imagine that's tough to keep up with all that stuff. How do you do it?
God, I spend a lot of time on Twitter, and I'm one of those people where I know that you are most successful in the things that you give your most of your attention to, and Twitter is something that I give a lot of my attention to.
Unintentionally,
so I would say, no, intentionally for sure. It didn't start out that way. I started out like doing Instagram for a while, and then Twitter became a natural fit for me just based on my my personality. Yeah. And I'm not really the type of person that I don't like to show my body off. I don't like to take photos of myself. So once I was able to have a platform, obviously it wasn't Facebook, so none of my family was on it, where I could just say whatever I wanted that came to my head in any sarcastic form, that it spewed out at. Twitter just naturally like was a good fit for me. And then I just spent a lot of time on it. And I was like, I think I want to grow this. And I think I want to like hone any of my messages on here.
How do you even think of content to put out there in general? I look at myself and I'm like, man, no one wants to hear that. Why did I even think about that? Why would I even want to post that?
So for me, it always starts as like a funny thought I had in the morning over coffee or like throughout the day, a situation that happened to me. And because I've developed this comedic style on my Twitter, it's turned into almost comedy writing, where I'll have a funny thought and then I'll write it down on Twitter. And if it's not ready to post, I don't think it's like the right way to say it, I save it into my drafts. And then when it's been like maybe a day or two where I haven't thought of something funny, I go into my drafts and I look through the content that I've put in there, and I go to like a thought that I've had, I hone it, and then I post it. So it's very much like comedy writing.
Man, I don't know how to even think of some of the things you I've looked at some of your posts. They're actually really funny. But
Thanks.
For people that aren't funny, like myself, I'm not very funny. I try to be, but I'm not. What would you recommend someone like me or somebody else posting about that maybe would get more people to agree with them without causing some chaos?
Don't fake who you are. And I'll say this, like, comedy, sarcasm, trolling is naturally who I am. And if you are into something else and there's something you're passionate about and you just start tweeting about that and you start developing your style and you see what works, what's more popular, what people are going to want to listen to, then that is what I would continue to post. And that's what I've done. What I would say, like the most popular tweets that I have always follow the same 3 formats. And I'm not going to like go into what those formats are because I don't want to like give away my secrets, but I can pretty much tell. I can pretty much tell if something is going to be a little bit more of a popular tweet than others. Just based on the style that I've just created over the years. And you learn that too by what are you passionate about? What do you like? What can you build your audience around? And I've built my audience around my type of tweeting. So people are there for that, and it just grows like that. And you need to kind of find what's similar to you, what works for you, something that you're passionate about, that you can tweet about, that is, very unique to who you are as a person.
I gotcha. So what do you do? What is your passion outside of work, streaming, and social media?
I am one of those people where I feel like I can do anything. I can do anything I put my mind to. I can teach myself anything. So I always stay busy doing, like yesterday I learned how to fix and clean my entire vacuum cleaner.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like I took it all apart and I learned how to fix it just because I was like...
Just because you could.
Just because I could, and I learned how to make cakes in that fondant wedding cake style way. I just practiced it. I learned it. I do art. I've also just co-founded a company called HabitKeto because I myself lost 87 pounds on the keto diet, keto and paleo mixed. So the 2 co-founders that I have with me were just really interested in keto. And I was like, it's a no-brainer. I mean, keto is so good for everybody who's trying to lose weight and get healthier. So let's do that. So in my what I would call downtime, I'm also working on HabitKeto and getting that Instagram up and going and building that community. So I just like to stay busy.
It's insane. So maybe you can talk us about your company that you founded.
So I gave you that background on HabitKeto already. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to take the questions away from keto, because keto right now is getting a lot of people think that it's like a bad for you diet because it has high fat. And there's a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of information out there that is conflicting. So it's kind of hard for people that are just looking into keto to kind of navigate what the good is, what the bad is, what's legitimate, what's just a company trying to market or advertise a keto product, or just like a quickly drawn up keto guide that they're going to try and just sell to you really quick.
Like a one-stop shop almost for finding out if they're looking at keto is right for them, right? Because you're not going to probably push it for people that it's probably not right for.
So keto is right for whoever wants to do it. And it's wildly successful. And I'm not going to, there's so many health benefits with it. And I'm not going to say everybody needs to get on keto. I'm just saying, if you want to, you can. Here's all the information in one comprehensive community where you can find it. You can use our guide. If you want to know more about it, you can look at our FAQs. You can look at success stories from other people that have done it. And we post a lot of recipes on our Instagram too. So if you want to get into keto and you just want a recipe that isn't making you miss your favorite dishes like pizza or mozzarella sticks and stuff like that, or tacos, you can find that there.
I tell you what, I did keto for a while and I stopped eating bread completely. Like, I don't eat pastas anymore. I don't eat bread anymore. Like, it's actually really strange once you stop eating it so much and so frequently. Like I'm Italian, so my mom, she makes a lot of
You're
pasta.
Italian? You're not eating pasta? Oh my God.
I know, right? But it's actually really nice. Like I felt so much better doing keto, and I'm not gonna lie, I stepped away from it to eat some pizza sometimes because pizza is my guilty pleasure. Like
I had pizza today. I had keto pizza today, actually.
Yeah, some of the keto pizzas that they have, like the one I haven't made my own, but I bought some on the store, and they they taste like rubber mats. They
taste like cardboard.
Yeah, they're not good. But I mean, some of the recipes I've seen, like it's amazing what you can still do without having bread. Like I've had French toast, keto French toast, and you're probably thinking, how does that happen without bread? But it does. I don't remember what the recipe calls for because it's been a while. But it's still possible, and it's really good.
Yeah, that's
really good.
That's what I like about keto is it doesn't focus on what you can't eat. Sure, you can't eat carbs, but it really focuses on what you can eat. Oh, I can have pizza still on keto and make it like this. I can still have a keto dessert. Like that's what's nice about it for me. And after the first 2 weeks of getting over your sugar cravings, your sugar withdrawals, which are, it's real. The keto flu happens where you start feeling sick and then it gets really hard. But after you get over that hump, you feel so clear mentally. You have so much energy. You wonder how you even existed before.
I noticed that I now I drink a lot of energy drinks because I'm not in ketosis. So, but before that, I didn't have to drink energy drinks or coffee. I was just fine being up. And it's the weirdest thing. I had so much energy on that in general. But besides all of your, you have so much information, I guess, with keto. Have you ever dabbled in any other diets and found them not to work for you? Because I counted calories and they didn't work at all.
Sure. Yeah. I got up to 215 pounds, and you only get up to an obese weight by having some sort of eating disorder, some sort of uncontrollable, unhealthy obsession with food. And so what I found with me is I would gain weight and then I would try to yo-yo diet to get back down. I would gain weight, yo-yo diet to lose a few pounds. And I tried every diet that you could imagine. I did Nutrisystem, I did Atkins, I did South Beach. I tried everything thinking it was going to be the magic fix. I tried diet pills. I tried starving myself. I mean,
jeez.
Yeah, but once I found keto, and like I said, I mixed in paleo with it. So paleo just being that I was eating all natural keto. So I wasn't eating processed keto. I was eating lean meats, veggies that were low carb.
Do you eat fruit, though, is the question.
I eat fruit in moderation because obviously fruit has natural sugars. Your body sees no difference between natural sugars or granular sugar. So that's a lie when people tell you, oh, but it's from natural. Your body does not see it differently. It's still sugar. So I do limit that. And when I do eat fruit, avocado is a fruit. I don't know if a lot of people know that. So that's one that I eat. And then strawberries.
It has high fats too, right?
Yes. So avocados are just great all around. So I'll eat the lower sugar fruits, but I won't eat something like a banana. A banana has over my daily carb amount.
I don't like bananas.
What?
We talked about this. I hate bananas. I'm a weird person.
It's not. I don't think it's weird, but
I do.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
everybody has their own tastes.
Yeah, absolutely. What is there some food that you don't like?
I am one of those people where I don't discriminate against food. I love all food. The only foods that I don't like really are anchovies. I cannot stand anchovies. They just taste so fishy to me.
So does that mean you don't like fish?
I didn't like fish growing up. I didn't like fish until I was older. And now I pretty much like all types of fish.
Depends on how you cook and prepare the fish. There's what I mean? There's certain aromas that come about if you cook it certain ways and textures.
If it has a really fishy aroma, I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of canned tuna either. I'll eat it, but I avoid it because it just smells so gross to me. And I can't even enjoy it. Just
thinking about it makes me Man, I was a really picky eater back in the day, but now I eat everything. But there's one thing, I don't like pickles either. That drives me insane. And but I do like escargot, which is strange, but I don't like caviar. So
I love escargot too. Escargot really just tastes like whatever sauce it's put in, and it's just chewy.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So if
what
it's
it
in like
is.
a butter lemon herb sauce, it's just gonna taste like butter lemon herb chewy, and it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about a lot of information.
A lot of different things.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's the way we love to do it. We just love to let it go and just let the, I guess, conversation flow itself naturally, but and kind of steer it back, if you will.
Yeah.
Is there anything, I know E3 is going on right now. Has there anything that's really caught your eye? Maybe you're excited to hear about more or see something?
I'm very excited about Minecraft. Minecraft Dungeons. I love Minecraft as a game all around because it's it's like a chill out game for me where I can just sit there and just do whatever I want and just relax and listen to the music. And if I feel like getting into a fight with a creeper, I can, or, with one of my friends on there. So I'm very excited for Minecraft Dungeons to see how that plays out and to make Minecraft a little bit more social that way.
Yeah, I stopped playing Minecraft because I built this giant building and my friend put dynamite all through it in a switch plate, so then when I stepped on and into my house, it just exploded, and then like lava just poured through everything. So I was like so mad, and like I went on his server when he was sleeping and I put dynamite all, like it was an excessive amount of dynamite, and I put it all around his. He stepped on it, blew it up, and then I'm like, I'm done playing Minecraft. Done.
You guys you're like the best friends, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's how you know, like when somebody does that to you, like you're really good friends.
Yeah, but I let him falsely think that I forgot about it. I was like, oh yeah, man, it's no big deal. So like 2 months later, that's when I struck.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? Yeah, so he wasn't expecting it. Like it wasn't like that day. Like I went back like 2 months later. I was like, I'm gonna get this guy. So
right, you're
bad.
like looking
Oh,
all
you're
around.
conniving. I
Where
like
am I gonna
it.
put the dynamite?
Yeah, I am a little bit conniving. It happens. Did you ever like mess with anyone's anything? Like I used to play Ark, and the one time I destroyed their entire, like my friend's entire back wall. There's a T-Rex that always sits behind his house, and I destroyed his entire back wall. And the one time he went into his house at night and didn't know it, and then the T-Rex came and destroyed him. I thought it was pretty funny.
In a very torturous way where I'll convince them that they're crazy for thinking that thing happened. So I'll do something like every time they log on, there's like a random block missing from their house, and they're like, what the hell? And I'm like, it must be a glitch. I don't know.
So
what
you're
happened.
like a psychological
and I just like
attack.
Yeah, for sure.
What are the psychological?
Definitely.
Kind of like get in their minds where like they're starting to I can't figure it out.
To me, it's funnier that way because it's like it makes no sense to them, but it's an easy argument. Like, yeah, just glitch.
Yeah, you like
it's just the
rotate
game.
something or just kind of get them to think like, oh, wait a second, like.
I've never done anything like. If I do anything that makes me like giggle and run away evilly, it's just I've drawn like a dick in their house with blocks or something like that. It's never something destructive. One time I accidentally poured a bucket of lava in my friend's wooden house, which ended up destroying the whole thing.
Yeah, that would happen.
It was in my main hand, and I thought I had a sword, and I was like panicking, running from like a zombie that had come in, and I just threw down lava, and then I was getting it, and then I died from the lava, and then like the zombie died too, and his whole house went up in flames.
That's the worst.
It was embarrassing.
I just love games like that though. They crack me up.
Yeah, definitely.
So, with you excited for Minecraft, are you gonna like? I know I'm excited about Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, who isn't?
They have a release date April 15th.
April,
2020.
yeah. I just remember thinking, it's almost 420.
So
almost 420, 2020.
Yeah, and I'm really sad because May is when I'm gonna get married.
Okay.
And that's gonna I'm gonna be immersed in this is the only game that I'm so excited for, and that's gonna be the crunch time for the wedding. So I have to make a decision.
What? You're gonna be wait, hold on. What do you have to prepare for the game? You're getting married in May. You're getting married in May.
Yeah.
Not March. Okay.
So like it's 15 days. I mean, it could go either way. I mean,
This is where time management comes into play.
Yeah, I know. And that's sad. But sometimes, you know what happens? Sometimes you just get so pumped for a game and just like, I have an extra 5 minutes. Maybe
I'm sure she understands who you are at this point.
She does.
And you won't be changing as a human being, so I think that she will.
Maybe she'll be okay with like a
well, I mean, this
stand in at the wedding. You know, you could be at home playing while there's another guy.
I volunteer. I fucking love weddings.
Yes.
What I love about weddings is cake and alcohol. So if anybody who's listening to this is getting married and needs somebody to come just party, I'm down. Please invite me. I will eat all your.
You can crash the wedding all you want. I'll look the other way. I don't care. Listen, like I'm excited about my wedding, but at the same time I'm dreading it just because of the stress that comes with the wedding planning and whatnot. But
what I'm going to tell you about wedding planning and not stressing about it is that day is for you, and it is a mistake to think that it's about your guests. And that's where most of the stress comes from wedding planning, is planning around your guests, thinking that you can cater to everybody, stressing yourself out about, oh my God, is this flower the right flower? Is somebody going to think it's not a good wedding because this wasn't done right? Just stop thinking about everybody else and just focus on you and your fiance and what you want to have happen.
And focus on cake and alcohol, because that's the most important part, right?
At the end of the day, people talk about, the music, the drinking, and the food. Everything else is just expected at a wedding. So really put your energy into that. And when that day comes, it's going to go by so quickly.
Yep.
So just don't stress out about it beforehand, because I'll
be in the back playing Cyberpunk 2077 while everything's going down. It's fine.
That would be awesome if you had consoles at your wedding.
Yeah, just have a LAN party or something.
Oh man, maybe I should.
Cyberpunk, though.
Yeah, I haven't had. That's okay. I mean, if I can invest some money into the wedding, I'll take off something like some of the table. What are they called? The
centerpieces.
Yeah, centerpieces. Thank you. I'll take away some of that. I'll make them crappier, and then I'll invest in like 3 or 4 games of Cyberpunk 2077, and I'll have many different consoles going at the same time with a projector. That'll be awesome.
I think, and it's special too, because how many guests come to a wedding and get to experience, like, you have to show off what you love and who you are as a person at weddings too. And when people can engage in that, it makes such good photos too.
You know what? I'm going to pitch that to my future wife, and I'm sure she's going to love that. She'll be like, I got to showcase who I am as a person. And if they can't accept the fact that I enjoy video games, they are not invited to the wedding.
Outfit or something.
Oh yeah.
It all comes back down to what we talked about earlier with like authenticity and just being yourself. And if you can like outwardly and openly enjoy things that you love and share it with other people, people are naturally drawn to that. And it's true for any party. It's true for, life in general. So I think that it's super smart to engage people in what you enjoy.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But with that, like I said, we've talked about a lot of stuff, really random things, but also some pretty concise little tidbits of information here and there. But we've always enjoyed this question. What is the one piece of advice that you would truly recommend or tell aspiring streamers they should do or don't do?
How many people get stumped on this one?
Almost every single one. Yeah.
A majority of them, actually.
Your life's work into one piece.
It doesn't have to be one piece. Maybe a few things. I mean, but
I hate saying be yourself, because it's obviously such an easy blanket answer. It goes much deeper than that on just being yourself. What I'll say to that is do what makes you happy, not what makes other people happy, because in the end, you're the one that has to turn that stream off, go upstairs, shower, unwind for the night, and be happy with who you are and what you have done. And if what you're doing on stream closely aligns with your values in life and who you are as a person and what makes you happier, it's just going to feel better. So
absolutely true. Because I know that some people have an issue with pushing that going live button. I mean, sometimes they get so stressed out because, to be honest, it's daunting. It's a task,
There have been days where I was crying 2 seconds before I hit the live button.
Oh, dang.
And you just turn that face on and you go live, and it's not mentally healthy. you feel like you do have to put on a show. And that is when I learned that I had to change it up. I had to be myself more. I didn't want there to be a difference between who I was off stream and who I was on stream. I wanted it to be the same person. And the same is true for when I go to events and I meet people. I am the same person on Twitter as I am in person, as I am on stream, as I am on this podcast. And I can get off here knowing that I didn't put on a show. I wasn't fake. I'm authentic, and that keeps me happy.
It's awesome. That's a great piece of advice to go off on. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We truly appreciate having you on.
Oh, thanks for having me. I definitely enjoyed the conversations that we had.
And thank you for listening to this episode of the Rad Gaming Podcast. You can check out our guests by clicking the link in the description.
Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and rate and subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever else you listen to podcasts.
We release a new episode every Wednesday and Friday. And as always, stay rad, comrades.